She held up a slice of dry bread to a younger child beside her, a little girl of about 4, wearing torn clothes and covering her eyes with a wrapper. The rainy wind blew dust into the busy streets of Lagos. People wore thick wrappers and jackets as they hurried past, holding their scarves tightly around their necks. The air was cold and wet, and smoke rose from roadside cooking stoves. It was one of those mornings when the chill entered your bones, no matter what you wore. But Lagos didn't stop. Buses still honked. Conductors still called for passengers, and life continued as usual. Welcome to African Folktales by Muna, your gateway to infinite tales and stories. Madame Veronica, in her late 40s, sat in the back seat of her black G-Wagon. She was warm inside with the seat heater on. Veronica was the CEO of Okonkwo Holdings, a conglomerate that touched oil, real estate, and luxury supermarkets. She was one of the richest women in Nigeria. She wore an expensive emerald green suit, with small diamond earrings glittering in her ears. Everything about her said class and power. She had just sent her driver, Peter, to get her usual meat pie and hot tea from one of her high-end cafes, the Ocha Spot, one of Lekki's most Instagrammed bakeries, a fancy place where people came more for pictures than for food. People called her the Ice Queen of Ikoyi. She was tough, always in control, and never smiled. To most people, she was just a rich woman who cared only about business. But no one looked deep enough to see her pain. She didn't expect anything unusual that morning. But as she turned to look out through the tinted glass, waiting for her driver to return, her eyes caught something. No, someone, that made her breath stop. Just outside the bakery, a young girl, not older than 16, crouched beside the large refuse bin behind the cafe. A broken piece of carton served as her mat. She was wrapped in torn sweaters layered over a school uniform blouse. Her hands were cracked, bleeding in places, as she held up a slice of dry bread to a younger child beside her, a little girl of about 4, wearing torn clothes and covering her eyes with a wrapper, her milky eyes staring blankly. Blind. The older girl's hands were red from the cold, but she was gently feeding the younger one the dry slice of bread. She wiped the crumbs from her cheek and whispered something that made the little girl smile. "I love you, Blessing," the older girl said softly. "You'll soon get warm, I promise." Veronica's chest tightened. Something she had buried for years began to rise again. The puff-puff warmth in her memory suddenly cooled. Peter came back with the tea and snack. "Madam, your coffee and puff-puff," he said, but she didn't respond. "Ma," he said again, surprised. Still, she said nothing. Then, with slow fingers, she rolled the window down halfway, and cold winds slapped her face. Peter looked confused but kept quiet. The teenage girl turned quickly and covered the small child with her body as though ready to protect her. "Excuse me," Veronica said, her voice softer than usual. The girl frowned. "We didn't disturb anyone, madam. If you want us to leave, we will." "No," Veronica said. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "My name is Janet, and this is my sister, Blessing." Before she knew what she was doing, Veronica opened the car door. Peter tried to shield her with an umbrella, but she waved him away. She walked slowly toward them, her high-heeled shoes sinking slightly into the sand. "Why aren't you staying at home or in a shelter?" she asked. Janet's lips tightened. "The shelters are full, and some of them are dangerous. Some people hurt little children there. Blessing can't defend herself. She's blind. I'd rather stay outside than let anyone harm her." Her voice was strong, brave, protective, not begging, just the truth. Veronica felt a lump in her throat. Pain she hadn't felt since her daughter died. "She's blind?" she asked. Janet nodded, watching her closely. "Since birth. Our mother died last year from an overdose. Our father left. It's just the two of us now." Veronica slowly knelt down. Her knees touched the cold, wet sand amidst wrappers and sand and horn blasts. "My daughter, her name was Lily," she whispered. "She was also blind from birth. Very sweet. She died when she was 4 from an illness. She had the same smile, the same gentle spirit." Janet blinked. "I'm sorry, Ma. I couldn't save her," Veronica's voice trembled. "But maybe I can help someone else. Please, just come with me, only for tonight. If you don't like it, you can leave tomorrow." Janet looked confused. "Go where? I don't understand," she said quietly. "To my house," Veronica said softly. "Just for one night. Somewhere warm, somewhere safe." Janet stood slowly, standing between Veronica and Blessing, shielding her sister. "Madam, rich people don't help people like us just like that. They always want something. I don't want anything, Veronica replied, tears filling her eyes. I just want one more chance. I lost my child. I couldn't help her, but maybe I can help now. Blessing smiled. Even though her eyes were covered, she turned to the sound. Auntie sounds like a good person, Janet. That small voice broke every wall around Veronica's heart. She took them home. Her mansion in Banana Island overlooked the water, large and cold, filled with breakable vases and untouched sofas. It was the kind of house built to lock away pain. Large windows no one ever looked through. It was a house with no laughter, no noise, only silence and pain. Now Janet and Blessing entered, holding hands. The tiled floor warmed their feet. The air smelled of vanilla and soft soap. Veronica's workers led them to a pastel-colored room. The bathroom was bigger than the space where they had slept outside. New clothes, soft towels, and warm slippers waited for them. Veronica stood at the door, watching. Later that night, a private doctor arrived. He checked Blessing and said she had a chest infection, but nothing serious. She just needed medication, food, and rest. Veronica waited outside, hands clenched, praying. She'll be fine with proper care, the doctor said. The older one, she's trying, but they've been on the street for months. Thank you, Veronica whispered. As she passed their room later, she saw Janet lying beside her sister, singing softly while Blessing coughed lightly in her sleep. Veronica went to her own room, alone. She thought about Lily, how she used to laugh during bedtime stories, how she loved the smell of cinnamon rolls. The night before the sickness took her, she had said, "I love you, Mummy." Tears filled Veronica's eyes. She turned her face away from the memory, but the tears still came. The next morning, for the first time in a long while, Janet woke up in a bed, a real bed. Clean sheets, no mosquitoes, no screaming sirens, no shouting, just silence, warmth. Beside her, Blessing slept peacefully under a pink blanket. She was breathing fine, holding her teddy bear, one a maid must have brought. Janet sat up slowly, wondering if it was all a dream. Sunlight poured in through large windows. Somewhere in the distance, the aroma of fried plantain danced into the room from the kitchen. Janet blinked. She'd lived off leftover meat pie, Gary, and prayers. Her body knew how to survive. But this was new, strange. Veronica entered with 2 mugs, one with tea, one with hot chocolate. "Good morning," she said. Janet's defenses shot up. "Ma, please, what's the condition? What do you want us to do?" Veronica smiled sadly. "There's always a condition in life, but not this time." She passed Amaka the tea. "You remind me of myself when I was your age, before the money, before everything. Just a little girl carrying too much burden. I was a scared girl too." Janet looked down. "You? Scared?" "You can't understand," Janet murmured. "I was very afraid," Veronica said, "especially after I lost Lily. She was my world. After she died, I built a big wall around my heart. I didn't let anyone in again." She looked at Blessing, who stirred in her sleep and smiled. "Until you came into my life." Auntie Veronica didn't just give them shelter, she gave them a new life. Janet started online secondary school lessons with a private teacher called Mrs. Bello, a soft-spoken woman with gray hair and a smile like warm tea. She didn't treat Janet like a poor orphan, but like a smart girl full of dreams. "You're brilliant," she told her one afternoon, "both street smart and book smart. That's special." Veronica also said they must go for therapy. Janet didn't want it at first. She was scared to talk about her past. But the therapist, a calm and kind woman called Dr. Amina, helped her talk about her pain slowly. "You've been acting like a mother for so long," Dr. Amina said in one session. "Let someone take care of you now." And Blessing, sweet Blessing, started to shine like sunshine after rain. Doctors came to the house every week. She was put on good food, given medicine for her chest, and then something happened that even Auntie Veronica didn't expect. A famous eye doctor from Turkey checked Blessing's eyes. "There's damage," the doctor said, "but not total. There's a small chance. If we do surgery, she might see again." Auntie Veronica paid for everything without thinking twice. "Are you sure, Ma?" Janet asked one evening. "It will cost so much." Auntie Veronica only smiled. Hope has no price. The amount was very big, but Auntie Veronica didn't stop. 3 months later, they traveled to Turkey. The surgery took many hours. Janet walked up and down the hallway the whole time, holding Veronica's hand tight. They sat in a quiet corridor with shiny floors and heavy hearts. Auntie Veronica even brought Blessing's best teddy bear, a small lamb with one ear almost falling off, to wait beside her bed. At last, the doctor came out smiling. The operation went well. Her eyes will need time to get used to light, but she might be able to see again. Janet broke into tears. Auntie Veronica held her close. 5 days later, they removed the bandages. Auntie Veronica was there, holding Blessing's small hand as the nurse slowly unwrapped the white cloth. The room was silent. Everyone held their breath. Blessing blinked. Twice. "I can see light," she whispered. I can see your hair, sister. It looks like a bird's nest." Janet laughed while crying, sitting quickly beside her sister. "You can see me?" she asked, shaking. "I see you." Tears rolled down Auntie Veronica's face. She stepped back to give the sisters space. But then Blessing turned and opened her arms. "You too, Auntie Veronica. I see your shiny eyes." Auntie Veronica knelt beside the bed and let Blessing touch her cheeks. They all cried together. 1 year later, Janet was now a student at the University of Ibadan studying psychology. She wanted to help other girls like herself one day. During the week, she went to class and read books. But every weekend, she came home to Auntie Veronica's house in Lekki. Blessing now attended a special school for children who had low vision. She ran in the school hallways with her big school bag, told funny jokes that didn't make sense, and called Auntie Veronica Grandmummy Extra. Auntie Veronica laughed more now. She even danced sometimes. She changed the guest room into Blessing's room. She also made a small study space just for Janet. She even framed one of Blessing's colorful finger paintings and hung it in her office on the island. Then one day, while they were eating dinner, she asked quietly, "Can I be your real family?" Janet stopped with her spoon halfway to her mouth. "You mean, adopt us?" "I know I didn't give birth to you," Auntie Veronica said gently. "But real love doesn't care about blood. Real love just wants to stay." Blessing clapped happily. "Can I be Blessing Okonkwo now?" Janet looked at her sister, her joy, her best friend, and then looked at the woman who had changed their lives and taught them to live again. "Yes," she said with tears in her eyes. "We'd love that." Auntie Veronica stood at a big event in Victoria Island, her hair packed in a neat bun, shiny earrings on her ears. Rich people filled the place, whispering about how much she had changed. "She used to be so cold," one woman said behind her. "What changed her?" Auntie Veronica walked up to the microphone to speak. She didn't talk about her money. She didn't talk about her business. She looked at the crowd until she saw two special people. One young lady in a beautiful purple dress, laughing with her school friends, and one 6-year-old girl dancing with cake on her nose. "I was changed," she said, "by love." She paused. The kind of love that feeds a sick child with trembling hands. The kind that protects someone else before thinking of yourself. The kind that doesn't wait for help, it becomes the help. The room was silent. Auntie Veronica smiled. Family is not only about blood. Sometimes family is what you fight for. And sometimes family finds you by the roadside in the middle of Harmattan when you least expect it. She dropped the mic gently, walked across the room, and kissed her daughters on their foreheads. Thank you for watching this touching story. If it moved your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. This story reminds us that family isn't always about blood. It's about love, sacrifice, and showing up when it matters most. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones we never expected. So be kind. You never know whose life your love could change.